Hey everyone, welcome to this full moon Sidereal Astrology forecast for the full moon on April 5th and 6th, 2023. Alright, so we have a full moon in Virgo. If you're expecting me to say Libra just then, be sure to check out the link down below for more information. We are using the visible sky on this channel, which is very different from mainstream astrology. Alright, so full moon in the constellation of Virgo the Maiden. It's all about improvement, refinement, striving towards perfection in the sense of the things we do have control over in life. So great time to do a status check with this side of ourselves. How is that improvement oriented side? Are we willing to improve, fix things, refine upon things, again, with ourself or our environment and those things that we do have control over? It's a great time for setting routines, personal development, health, anything on that more physical sort of level there. So of course, with all full moons, it's about balance, and that's because the sun is always in the opposite part of the sky, and where the sun has been in watery Pisces. And so it's been the time of the year to turn a little bit more inward, to connect to our soul and do what's more soul fulfilling. And so now with the full moon, it's the balance point. How can we connect with our soul, do what's soul fulfilling, but also ground that into the physical world? And so this axis is very much about personal development. You have the spiritual development, you have the physical development, or spiritual health and physical health. And how can we combine these two things together? When they are balanced, it does lead to more fulfillment along our life journey. And this full moon is a great opportunity to help us do that. Now, the full moon will be opposite Chiron. The sun will be in a very close conjunction with Chiron. Chiron is the healer comet, and so it is very much about connecting more with that healer archetype during this full moon. It could be an excellent full moon for all types of healing, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, whatever it might be there. Quite close to Jupiter as well, so we're getting a bit of a higher perspective and a bit of a free-spirited nature, which could be constructive with this also. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the full moon. It's going to be at 23:33 Eastern time, around there, 23:30, depending on where you are in the world, Eastern time of the Americas. But for all intents and purposes, it's going to be the days surrounding both Wednesday and Thursday, April 5th and 6th. And as you can see here, we are using the visible sky on this channel, which is very different from mainstream astrology. You will notice that a lot of the signs are different here in this system. And so if you are new, definitely check out the link down below for more information on using the visible sky called True Sidereal Astrology. All right, so a full moon. Full moons are the heightened energy of the lunar month, but it is the Pisces time of the year. So it is definitely, when I say heightened, it could be more towards taking actions in our life that are maybe for not only outer reasons, which is good because it's Virgo, but also for spiritual reasons, and to bring more peace into our life, a little more of a willingness to go with the flow and to do things that, that are soul fulfilling. So that's been great for this time of the year, as we've had the sun here already. And so now it's a bit of a counterbalance to that, where how can we continue to be receptive and connect to our soul, while now incorporate the real physical energy of things. And this is Virgo. Virgo the Maiden is all about the things in the world with ourselves that we do have control over, that can really make our lives and others' lives better. And it really is striving towards this embetterment that is the hallmark of Virgo. And so a great time to connect with this side of ourself, really with the full moon, to do a status check with this side of ourself. The full moon is usually where we gain a lot of insights. We gain a new perspective. That's usually quite important to our life path and life journey during full moons. So while it is an active time, it is a very spiritual time in the sense that the energy, in this case the sun's energy, the vital life force, is bouncing off the inner energy, the moon energy. And so we do become aware of both the outer world and the inner world quite strongly and quite distinct from each other with full moons, as these are, again, opposite in the chart. And so we can then, because of the full moon, see quite clearly how do we feel, how do we think about a situation, how are we seeing things outwardly consciously, and how are we seeing things inwardly consciously. And so that outer and inner consciousness separate, gives us that distinction, which gives us that ability to really gain these insights. And so full moon time, great to do a status check because of that. When we do have new insights, new perspectives in our life, then obviously things follow from that. And so typically it's a good time to make shifts and changes and to pivot direction along our journey so that we can incorporate more of these insights. And again, the insights really are on this axis of personal development, right? So while we're outwardly consciously focused on the spiritual and the soul-fulfilling, we could be actually quite innerly attuned to what we can do on the physical level during this. So combining the spiritual with the physical, spiritual health, physical health, going with the flow, but also, focusing on what we do have control over. Focusing on what we do have control over, but also letting go of what's outside of our control with things. All right, to do what's soul meaningful, but also practical and pragmatic and needed in the physical world. Right, this kind of a thing. And so anything that incorporates these two, spirituality and the physical world, is a great way of working with this full moon. Now, like I said, it's in a very close opposition to Chiron. The sun's in a very close conjunction with Chiron here, and the sun will be passing over Chiron there on Wednesday, leading up to this full moon. And so this is really illuminating, sun shining that light in regards to Chiron. Now, Chiron isn't a physical part of ourself. It is a comet, which in astrology is very symbolic for a part of life that has come to transform us in some way. Right, comets weren't created directly, at the same time as the other planets, and so they're these sort of messengers that have come with a message, right, to help us change and transform through a perspective that's outside of our normal way of thinking about things. And so the theme with Chiron is Chiron gives us a new perspective in terms of what can be healed. And when I say healed, it can of course be physical healing, but Chiron usually carries with it, especially in Pisces like this, a much more spiritual connotation, which might be, things that we can heal about ourselves, our view of life, from a spiritual or psychological perspective. Helps us become more aware of our wounds, our inhibitions, our insecurities, but to actually heal them. Chiron is the healer, and so it's not just about becoming aware of these wounds and things we can, really reclaim about ourselves, redeem about ourselves, but the tools to do it. And so it's a great time to set any intentions around spiritual or physical healing, probably both. They usually are both, two sides of the same coin. Can't have good physical health without mental health and vice versa. So doing both the physical and spiritual healing during this is fantastic, whether that's your intention or not. Your intention doesn't even necessarily have to be healing. It could be just simply making these shifts and changes during this full moon can be just very healing and therapeutic for you, especially if it does involve self-expression, as the sun typically involves self-expression, that part of ourself. And so when we have Sun-Chiron conjunctions, just the mere act of expressing ourselves can be healing. However we might do that, whether it's verbally, whether it's through creative pursuits, whether it's doing things we find fun or enjoyable in life, but that self-expression can be very healing and therapeutic. So that's very strong with the full moon because it's in such a close opposition here. And of course, this is already a spiritual time with the Pisces thing. So great for that. Jupiter's quite close, and this is giving us a bit of a higher perspective and a bit of adventurousness and open-mindedness and inspiration with the full moon as well. So there's also, I think, this awareness on opportunities, things we can do to expand our horizons a little bit, be a little more open-minded or adventurous, or more of that inspired free spirit that we all have. And so reconnecting with that. Again, probably more in the spiritual way with Jupiter and Pisces. This year, Jupiter has been helping us connect to more of that adventurousness through the spiritual realms, through our psyche, through psychology, spirituality, and things like this. But nonetheless, this is all happening in different areas of all of our charts. And so for some, this might actually be in a much more active or public or relational sort of area. And so all in all, I think just a good time to see how it's good to be open-minded, get some of these new perspectives, and again, make these shifts and changes to further that. All right, so that is the full moon in a nutshell. It's really just these oppositions here. We do have some sign changes leading up to the full moon, going into much more active energy as well. So it really is this full moon of balancing the physical and spiritual dimensions of life, with that sort of healer archetype really being emphasized, I think, with this. Full moon was quite close to a square with Pluto, but didn't quite square it either. So again, anything that's about empowerment, transformation, could be somewhat of a theme here. But all in all, it's very straightforward. Virgo and Pisces balancing the physical and spiritual dimensions of life. All right, so everyone have a fantastic full moon. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not yet signed up for MTZ Insiders, it is a free newsletter. We do get these videos released first before YouTube and extra content not normally released on YouTube. So if you're not yet signed up, definitely check out the link down below. But again, have a great full moon, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.